OTAs begin. Jamal Adams visits the Ravens. Lamar Jackson wait, and Todd Monken finally talks to the media. That and much more on the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 241 of the Purple Rain podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. Follow this guy on Instagram, on X at Suttondef. You can follow me on X at SimplyAS10 and on Instagram at SimplyAS10.prod. It is 241. Let me just go down the Ravens who have award number 41. Anthony Levine for 9 years, Ralph Stanton for a year, Frank Walker for a year, God, not like watching him, and Darrell Worley for a year. Only 4 players to wear that number 41. But thank you for coming out on this Friday Eve edition of the Purple Rain podcast. And, like we always say, we are sponsored by Manscaped. You can go on there, get yourself something nice, get somebody else something nice. Code PRP, 20% off your whole order and free international shipping. So at the end, when you're talking, thinking about how much you're going to pay for shipping, don't worry. It's free. Best part. But we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. But first and foremost, how has your week been, Sutton? Mike is muted.
Starting off strong here. All right, so my week has been very, very good. I will say this: the NFL, it never fails to surprise me. I've been saying for the past couple of months, like, okay, guys, I know we're in the dead of the offseason. The offseason is just dragging along, but every week there's some sort of news or some sort of activity that's kicking off that kind of keeps you engaged, and it really just speaks to the fact that the NFL is a year-round league. Like, it's amazing, quite honestly. I don't think that there's any other American sports league that can match the NFL when it comes to keeping their audience engaged 365 days out of the year. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm glad you said American. 100%. Only league I think that can keep their fans, engaged as much. I don't think basketball can, baseball can't, hockey can't, MLS most certainly can't. It's only the NFL, I think. Great point.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, my week has been going great, man. I'm just happy that the weather is finally breaking. We're actually going to get a nice weekend with nice weather this week over here on the East Coast, specifically in the tri-state DMV area. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy about my guy K-Dog being in the chat. Says hashtag replay gang. What's going on, K-Dog? Giving a big shout out to the replay gang. If you're not watching this episode live and you happen to be watching after the fact, that means you are part of the hashtag replay gang, and we want to thank you so much from the very bottom of our hearts, because we appreciate you guys all the same. Make sure you leave a like on this video. K-Dog says smash that damn like button. I just said leave a like. He said smash that damn like. So I mean, do with that what you will. Yeah, it's free and it helps the channel out a ton. Lisa Ann is in the house. Says Alex Suttondef. I don't know if the weather is hotter or the OTAs. Lisa, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful for this hot weather. I hope you are too, because listen, man, when that winter comes around and that cold is stinging you through all of the layers you're wearing, you'll miss these days. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise.
And the sun is shining at 6:17 p.m. That when anybody brings up, winter being better than summer, I'm sorry. I don't like when it's 4:30 and dark outside. I'm gonna take spring, summer over that any day. Like fall is cool, but I can't do the winter. Yeah, you get home from work, it's dark. You leave for work, could be dark. You see no sunlight. So I'm taking summer any day. I'm taking spring any day. Yeah, feels good outside. Very good.
Absolutely. Okay, so Flock, Rain Gang, listen, it's time to get in what we came here to talk about today. Alex let us off saying that we have a lot to get into. I mean, we didn't see y'all earlier this week, so there's a lot to talk about, right? So first thing we want to bring up is that the OTAs, which stands for organized team activities, if you guys, never knew, those have begun. across the NFL, and specifically with our Ravens. It's the first look that we get at not only our rookies, but also our new acquisitions in free agency as well. So Derrick Henry was a big one who, his presence is kind of being felt all across Ravens Twitter, I'll say. And I've seen a couple of things from him, and I know you posted a video. I do want to bring up the video that you posted on the screen here so the Rain Gang can kind of follow along and see what the hype is all about. I'll go ahead and mute it because we don't need to necessarily hear the sound. But yeah, man, I mean, you see Derrick Henry, you see Roquan Smith. I don't know if this is the right video here, but you'll see them eventually. By the way, these videos are courtesy of Ravens Media, but Alex has stitched them together for us, aka SimplyAS, Mr. 100,000 plus subscribers. He has done that for us so graciously. So thank you to Mr. Alex SimplyAS10. But yeah, man, I mean, these OTAs are getting underway. One big thing we saw was Derrick Henry. I don't know if you saw the one clip on X, Alex, the one where it's just a simple handoff from Lamar to Derrick Henry. That one looked terrifying. It just looked absolutely like if I'm a fan of another team and I'm watching that, I'm legitimately concerned. Only reason why, biggest reason why, Lamar Jackson he's never played with a running back as big as Derrick Henry. He's had some that have come close, right? Not quite as big as Derrick Henry and not quite as imposing as he looks when he's coming through that A gap or that B gap or wherever, right? Not quite as imposing as this man right here on the screen. So I just think that whole thunder and lightning dynamic that they're going to have this year is going to really, really give defenses some big problems, especially the ones in our division, because our divisional games are going to be rough. They're going to be tough. And we have a Derrick Henry who's essentially a hammer to, it's going to be in our toolbox that we're going to be able to, utilize against some of these other teams that are going to try to play us with the smash mouth football. We have fire to fight with other fire now. So I don't know. I'm happy about it, but what are your thoughts so far, Alex, on the OTAs and the guys showing up out there?
Yeah. So like you said, seeing a handoff, honestly, that was enough. I've seen enough. It was just enough for me to already be excited. But I'm glad you brought up, about the type of running backs Lamar's played with, because he's by and far the best. Mark Ingram, I thank you for your services. Fantastic 2019 season. Derrick Henry is coming off a year where he was second in rushing yards in the NFL behind a bottom 5 offensive line. So let me say it again. Second in the NFL in rushing yards behind a bottom 5 line. The Ravens are known to be a good rushing team. Your quarterback is Lamar Jackson. He's already going to, be a threat. And with him dropping the weight, spoiler alert, that's a topic coming up. He's going to already have more eyes on him, which should open up for Derrick Henry. I'm happy that we're, having some passes to him, because Derrick Henry really isn't a threat at the backfield catching the ball. But if we can incorporate that part of his game, I'm all for it. Todd Monken, give it all to me. But I am looking, forward to seeing this offensive line competition. I'm on the record saying I do want to sign another lineman, most likely Dalton Reisner. Yeah, Dalton Reisner, the guard, just to kind of shore up one of the remaining holes. And it would just make me feel a lot more confident and a lot more just safe on the line as well. And yeah, I mean, so you see right here, Hamilton and Roquan being there is all, great. A lot of our vets were all there. Not many big names were missing. Today Lamar wasn't there, but he was there the first 2 days, which that's good news to me. And just a lot of good vibes in Baltimore. No drama. That's how I like it. There's no questions coming out of why isn't this person there? Why isn't that person there? And some good news from Harbaugh is that Keaton Mitchell is ahead of recovery. So hopefully we can see him sooner than expected. And hopefully, everything goes well. But I think he's supposed to start running next week, which is a fantastic sign considering he tore his ACL in December, I'd say. So 6 months out, about to start running. That's great news. Yeah. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, good vibes here in Baltimore. Bring it on. And, Derrick Henry was our big guy, but there's still, Nate Wiggins, we didn't see a lot from him. We haven't seen a lot of clips from him, which I'll take as good news because, it's shorts and T-shirts. So DBs are, going to be losing most of the battles. But outside of that, yeah, good news. And it sounds like, everything is looking good from what the beat writers were saying. And I think the best play of the day from yesterday was, I believe, a Trenton Simpson play, I want to say. So that's really good news to hear too. You know, Trent Simpson stepping up, wearing the new number 23, and he'll be a big part of this defense coming up. And Zach Gore, who I'm probably most excited about coming up as well.
Okay. Trenton Simpson or Zach Gore? That is
Zach Gore. Yeah, Zach Gore as the DC. I think he's gonna do really good.
You know, I don't know. I don't know about Zach Gore just yet. I'm not sold. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I need to see it first. You know, I'm a guy who, even with McDonald, right? The jury was out on him until a couple games went by. And I saw that he was kind of really, you know, shoring up this defense and having us in that top 5, top 10 range in terms of production. Zach Gore, man, I feel like our defense is going to be good just because it always is. And I feel like we have a lot of dogs, right? So I think that he's probably going to benefit a lot, at least early in the season, from just having those dogs on our defense. I mean, the Kyle Hamiltons of the world and the Roquan Smiths and, you know, a hungry Trenton Simpson and you know, Brandon Stevens, Marlon Humphrey, all these guys, Justin Madubuike, who just got paid. All of these guys are really, really going to kind of pick up where they left off, I would say, from last year. I don't really suspect that there's going to be like some sort of huge shift in terms of the defensive scheme. I think that Mike Macdonald probably laid out a really, really good framework on how the Ravens defense should run. And since, granted, we don't play the Seahawks this year, I feel like we'll probably continue to utilize that same framework. So I just don't know. The jury's going to be out on him. I say until about not January, but Thanksgiving. I'll give it until about Thanksgiving. See where our defense is at in terms of points per game allowed. I want to see how engaged he is with the players as well. I want to see Zach Gore in those huddles pre-game. I do.
Okay.
Because Zach Gore he's not too far removed from actually being a player himself for this team. You know, so it's just there's some certain things I got to see out of him first. I like, again, when we made the move, when Mike Macdonald went to Seattle and we promoted Zach Gore to being DC. I like the move. You can go back and watch our episode where we reviewed when that happened, but I still have to see some, you know, actual production out of his defense for sure.
Yeah, and I've always said it just gives me the D'Amico Ryans feel. Great linebacker, turn linebackers coach, turn defensive coordinator.
Sure.
Hopefully the next step is a head coach. Don't know if that's here. You know, we're both on record hoping Mike Macdonald got that promotion as a Raven, but wasn't meant to be. You know, I'm not going to cry over that. But yeah, I think the fact that he also, you know, was the Jags linebacker coach and then came here for the same position, that really said a lot to me. You know, he wanted to be here, and that's why I feel like he'll be a success. You know, he's born a Raven, been a Raven, played a Raven, knows how we play defense, and there was reports that he was like Mike Macdonald's right-hand guy, you know, go-to guy when they were, you know, scheming up defenses against other teams. So that right there really said a lot to me. You know, the fact that we kind of, you know, we hired the guy that was with him, you know, 24/7. So like, I'm right there with you though. You know, jury's going to be out because people were calling for Mike Macdonald's head week 2 in 2022 after that game against the Dolphins. And I just want to see what those people said when we lost Mike Macdonald. You know, they were saying, no, you know, we're just hiring guys from Michigan because it's hardball and that. Some people, yes, drafting, yes, but Macdonald, when he came out of Michigan here, that was the first time Michigan beat Ohio State in like years when he was DC, and he shut Ohio State down. So Jabari says here, I have complete trust in Orr. He's going to be fantastic this year. Spot on. And if he has a bad game or two, I will not be sitting here saying the sky is falling. You make a perfect point. Give it to Thanksgiving. If our defense is last ranked, then yeah, maybe there's problems, but I highly doubt it. We have the foundation of defense there from top to bottom. Madubuike, Roquan Hamilton, and Marcus Williams, and like you brought up, Stevens Humphrey, great 1-2. Add a Nate Wiggins, add a Arthur Millette, you know, and who knows what else we do. And then a Kyle Van Noy coming back, so we have leaders on the defense as well. So yeah, I mean, this defense is in a good spot. So hopefully it can be.
I'll tell you 10. What,
I'm not
Alex, my expectations.
We won't get the Triple Crown again.
Yeah, my expectations are not going to change from what we were doing production-wise last year and the year before that. Like I don't want us allowing teams to score over 20 points. I'm still going to be expecting a team to score less than 20 points on this period. So that's where I'm at with it. But let's go ahead and transition. Go ahead. My bad.
One more thing. Only thing I'm expecting to drop is the sack numbers. Unless Owe and Ojabo have big years, which I expect Owe to, and if Ojabo can stay healthy. But it's hard to replicate what Clowney did last year, and it's hard for Van Noy to replicate what he did, and Matty Bigay to put up 13 sacks again. But outside of that, I expect turnovers to be around the same, and like you said, probably average around 17 to 18 points per game allowed, which I think is very doable with this defense and the talent we have.
Agreed. It needs to be doable. We want a chance at making it back to the AFC Championship game and maybe perhaps the Super Bowl this year. Our defense is going to have to carry a lot of the load, as they normally do. But, our offense, I feel like, is going to be always kind of in and out. You know what I mean? Some weeks we can be that team puts up 35, 40 plus points. And other weeks we'll probably put up maybe, I don't know, we might put up 20 or 23, something like that, or 24 and get a W. So I feel like our defense is going to have to be there on those rainy days for the offense, but that is another story for another day. We got about 90 days or so until NFL season starts? Something like that?
Yeah, around that time. And I definitely need it because my other sports let me down, and I'm still in a very depressive state about that. But the Ravens give me something to look forward to, which is fantastic to think about.
I saw your tweet a couple of days ago, and you were tweeting about soccer, and you said that there was some sort of heartbreak because you had hope, and then the hope was snatched away from you, and you said you felt the exact same way as you did in the AFC Championship game when Zay gave away that fumble. You had hope, but it was just snatched right away. How did that make you feel?
It was the catch. So Don, what's going on? So actually, me, Arush, and our boy on God, we all went to an Arsenal bar in DC. Final game of the year. Let me set the scene real quick. Arsenal had to win, and then the Manchester City to draw or lose to win the title because the point system. Arsenal go down 1-0. City go up 1-0 in 70 seconds. They go up 2-0 in 20 minutes. Arsenal tie the game 43rd minute. Not a minute later, West Ham, who was playing Manchester City, score a bicycle kick. Crazy goal. It's 2-1, and I have so much hope. I'm like, this can actually be done. And then not 20 minutes later, City score a third goal. And I'm like, yeah, like that was a dagger. So I had that hope. And I have been in a very sad mood since Sunday around 1:00. And it sucks. Like the way Ravens fans feel about Zay's, I feel that, but like 10 times worse now. So still going through the pain and still dealing with the Zay fumble. But actually, while we're on the topic of Zay, we shared a moment that day. We were all screaming and jumping at 11:30 in the morning. But speaking of Zay Flowers, he actually did have a presser, and he said he thinks about that fumble every single day. And guess what, Zay? So do we. So do all of us. We think about that fumble every single day. What could have been? I mean, so close, but yet so far.
Right. Yeah, those do hurt the most, honestly. Like when Zay scored that early touchdown in that AFC Championship game, it was really just a roller coaster of emotions that entire Sunday, from 4 to 7 p.m. Man, I mean, from the Chiefs going out there and dealing all over the field in the first quarter to that crazy Travis Kelce catch over Kyle Hamilton, and then we strike right back with the Zay Flowers touchdown from Lamar, and then ultimately fast forward a couple quarters later, Zay Flowers kind of gives the game away with that fumble. So I'm sure, he's still thinking about that, as he should. I mean, he was a rookie. We can chalk it up now in hindsight. You can chalk it up to a rookie mistake. I don't think he would make a mistake like that again. I think that ball security is going to be most paramount in his mind, going forward, which is good. You got to learn lessons like that early. But shout out to Zay Flowers. I'm really looking for him to be our wide receiver 1 this year, unless our guy Rashad Bateman, who we'll talk about him a little bit later. I think Todd Monken has some things to say about him. Unless our friend Rashad Bateman can actually step up and take that next wide receiver role behind Odell, whose it was last year, pretty much. Let me see. So, all right, let's go ahead. I want to get into some news about Lamar Jackson. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, mainstream media has taken a hold to the fact that Lamar Jackson is losing weight. So us Ravens fans, we've known about this for a little while now, right? Lamar cut from 225, 220 down to 205. Everybody's saying, oh, 2019 Lamar is back. 2020 Lamar, he's going to be juking dudes out of their socks. We're getting the highlight reels back. I would love that. I'll go ahead and start with my take on this one, Alex, before I swing it to you. I did a video of this earlier that's on the channel as well. And let me tell you what worries me about Lamar Jackson losing weight. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback who came into this league who was known for his electric legs, right? His running ability. And fast forward, 6 years later, almost 7 years later, he's bulked up in the past 2 years, all the way up to about 220, probably about maybe almost 230. Now he's around 205. And he's saying that he's doing that to get his agility and his quickness back. Here's my problem. As you get older, you start to lose that agility and that quickness. And in professional sports, it really is a game of inches. And you might say, oh, Lamar Jackson is only 27 years old. He's not old. Okay, but you have to realize he came into this league at 21, right? I mean, there's a big difference between 21 and 27 when it comes to physical ability. Might not seem like it, but when you play at the highest level, when you compete at the very highest level, it is indeed a game of inches. So I don't know if him losing the weight is going to transform him back magically into 2019, 2020 Lamar, where he's juking dudes out of their socks. I just don't know. Does he have the ability, the skill to make some guys miss? Absolutely. Absolutely. But here's where my real problem and worry lies, Alex. I am concerned about Lamar Jackson passing the football. I'm concerned about him passing the football. If he has been at 220, 225, 230 almost for the past 2-3 seasons, how is that going to affect his throwing mechanics if he's all the way down to 205? And you told me before we went live, he's planning to come into the season anywhere underneath 230. That's kind of a broad range, right? But if he really is trying to be more agile and more quick, right, then I think that he's probably going to be closer to that 205 to 210 than that 230, if you know what I mean. Again, how long is it going to take him to recalibrate his throwing mechanics to adjust for that new frame, with the less weight? Here's another thing before I switch it over to you, Alex. Lamar Jackson, the type of thrower he is, the way he throws the football, we all know this. If you're a real Lamar Jackson fan, you've been watching him since he came out of Louisville, or even before that, you know his throwing mechanics. He throws primarily with his upper body, not his lower body. Most quarterbacks will use their lower half in order to generate the power, and they'll use their upper half to generate the accuracy and the finesse and the touch. Lamar Jackson, he tries to do it all with his upper body. Now, he's gotten a little bit better in recent years. That's why he's had the quarterback coaches. He's had the guys come in and work with him one-on-one, things like that. But for the most part, he relies on his upper body and that torque that he gets from, his shoulders and a little bit from the hips as well, to get the ball downfield, to push the ball downfield. So I'm worried here, Alex. If Lamar Jackson losing the weight, he doesn't have the same weight put behind the deep ball, are we going to see some underthrows? Are we going to be frustrated with that as fans? Or are we going to take stock of the fact that, hey, he lost weight, he's a little bit lighter now, he's going to be able to be quicker, so we got to take the crookeds with the straights. We got to take the good with the bad, right? What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, you make fantastic points there. And I think about last year, I think there were some underthrows. I know the one against the Rams, Odell, the touchdown catch, that was an underthrow. But it's like we don't even hit those deep passes, it feels like, as much as we should. And I don't know if Lamar feels that way. He's like, you know what? Well, if we're not hitting him that much, I can maybe drop some weight, get a little juice back. But you're right. There's a point where you're going to get slower, and you can't beat father time. That's why even the fastest quarterbacks or fastest players at a point lose their speed. As that's just how it goes. That's you unfortunately lose it. But I think him saying under 230, Lamar's a troll. I think he reads social media. Yeah, he's seen these tweets come up across his line. He's just going to troll us. I just still think when we're in August, maybe, I don't know, I'll feel about it different then. But I want to see how he looks now, throwing, and we're not going to see that, unfortunately. But if it's going to hurt us in the deep game, then I will have a problem with it, because that's where we've been lacking for years. Since I think Hollywood left, we really haven't had that many deep plays. And our only touchdown, or I think when Keaton ran the touchdown against the Seahawks last year, that was our first touchdown out of the red zone. So that was like a 40-some yarder, I think, in a while. I think it was for offseason, and that was like week 9. So through our first 9 weeks of the season, all of our touchdowns came from within the red zone.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I would like more deep plays, and since we were going to talk about Bateman more, I don't know if Monken's trying to switch up the offense, or maybe he sees, Bate, because Bate's getting more of the intermediate routes, the OBJ routes. If he sees the offense, just moving down the field like that, maybe not having your 50, 60-yard deep pass, or maybe we have a lot of yak, because, we know what Zay can do after the catch. That's really no question. Maybe they don't. I don't know. If we don't have many big plays, then I'll have a problem with that, because it's what this offense has been lacking for years now, is the ability to have a 60, 70-yard pass in the air, not a 20-yard and catch and run. I want to see more of that, and if he does lose that in the air, then I'll be a little worried, but I'm going to let it go to training camp, and then maybe we'll see. But right now, I'm just going to sit back and chill. But I think he's low-key kind of trolling us right now, I'm not going to lie. But if that is
You
true,
think so?
yeah, Lamar, he loves trolling us. He absolutely loves trolling us. Todd just says, Lamar's still getting lean muscle. He'll be strong, just not big. And like one thing I've said, he's not going to have to run as much either. So he won't be absorbing all the hits that he usually would be taking. Because we'll have a Derrick Henry, which I hope is the reason why he's doing that. But I'm glad you brought up that point, because like you said, the moment I think you know about the speed was that L'Jarius Sneed when he caught up to him. And another play I want to bring up from that same game is when Justin Reed tipped the pass and he caught his own pass. There was a lane. If he gets past Justin Reed, that, because I saw a couple of the All 22 film posted of that. There was a lane up the left-hand side of the field that if he got past Justin Reed, arguably could have been 6, but it would have been a huge play. That would have been one of the all-timer plays. But didn't happen. So maybe those two plays right there, definitely the L'Jarius Sneed one, because Lamar, even in 22, I think, houses that. So just 2 years ago, I think he takes that for a touchdown.
Remember the Titans. That's all I got to say. Remember the Titans in 2021, I want to say it was, when he runs past the whole team, not only just the Titans team, the Ravens too. He ran by everybody. I'm talking guys had a 30, 40-yard beat on him to get an angle on him. Still cannot beat him to the sideline. So you can't sit here and tell me that Lamar doesn't know that. You know what I mean? Lamar is a very cerebral guy. I know that. So I think that when he got tracked down by L'Jarius Sneed, when he caught his own pass and was trying to run and he ended up getting tracked down, I think that those two things, when he went back and watched the tape from that game, he really said, you know what, I could have changed the landscape of that game, kind of like he did against the Titans. Because when he ran that electrifying touchdown against the Titans, changed the entire landscape of that game. That was an ugly game up to that point, that Titans game a couple of years ago.
17-10?
Yeah, and we were down. We were losing. Yeah, and we did not look good up until that point. But that was a game-changing play, and I think that Lamar knows that if he would have had that same sort of play happen in the AFC Championship game last season, might have been a totally different outcome. So maybe we will see him stay down at these slimmer weights so he can, be a little bit faster and put the team on his back with his legs, or put the team on his legs, so to say. We shall see. Another thing I wanted to bring up to you, Alex, was about our guy, Rashad Bateman, right? So today, Monken was at a presser, and we'll bring up Todd Monken in a little bit here. Todd Monken plans on getting Rashad Bateman more involved and expects a tremendous year. So, quote, "Oh, for sure." When asked about getting Rashad Bateman involved, quote, "Oh, for sure. Last year was interesting in the fact that we had Odell Beckham Jr. and Bate had missed offseason and some of fall camp. Is he going to be healthy? So put Odell at X. Then in the beginning of the year, Bate gets a little banged up, and so does Odell. So here you are, and you're already in the season. We could have done a better job of moving them around for sure. But as the year went on, Rashad really came on, and I've seen tremendous growth. But the growth is just because he did not have an offseason last year. I didn't see that. But I expect a tremendous year out of him." So, Alex, these words from offensive coordinator Todd Monken, what do they have you thinking?
Music to my ears. I actually have the number 7 jersey in my cart that I'm getting ready to purchase after hearing that. Already got the 3-year extension. Hearing that we'll be playing Bateman to his strengths, which is something that's kind of what I got from this. I feel like last year he wasn't being played to his strengths. Killer Cam, this is his first healthy offseason, he says, and he is not wrong. Out at college, getting a training camp goes down. Second year, missed some training camp. Last year, banged up. This year, knock on wood, was in Arizona, getting work done, posted a fantastic video, working out, looking good, looking crispy, getting out of his cuts. It's like poetry in motion watching him run routes. It really is. Fantastic route runner. And hearing Todd Monken talk about this, and one thing about Todd Monken too, I don't want to talk too much about the former OC, but he said in the KC game that he has to be better. He said which in previous years we would have heard we. I appreciate Todd Monken for taking full credibility and full responsibility for that. Even though I kind of don't think it was him who did it, I think it was Harbaugh. But I respect you, Todd Monken, for that. But yeah, I'm super excited to see Bateman this year. We've been saying that, but I'm gonna sit here and buy as many stocks of Rashad Bateman as I can because I know that he's easily a 750-yard receiver in a 17-game season. And there was first 3 drives where he would cook, and then we just don't see him the rest of the game. Imagine a full season of Bateman getting the same targets for a full game. Kelly Camp says short and intermediate routes in the middle of the field and get yak. Yes, and he showed that yak against the Lions last year. He had a couple of catches where he was just making guys miss, getting 5-10 extra yards. That's why we drafted him.
I got to go back and watch that game. I forgot about that.
Yeah, watch his catches. Sick.
Yeah. Rashad Bateman, I mean, all he's missing is the confidence. All he's missing is the confidence that needs to be instilled in him from his offensive coordinator, from his head coach, and most importantly, from his quarterback. I think that time for Rashad Bateman to sort of, for lack of better words, I guess you could say, graduate into that wide receiver 1 or 2 role, because this entire time he's been kind of like, I mean, at the highest, he was like wide receiver 2, right? But he's never like actually gotten the opportunity to get those mainstay targets that a 1 would get. And I'm excited to see what Ravens have planned for him because this is a guy who everybody else in the NFL does not believe in. If you're a Ravens fan, most Ravens fans, even some of them don't, but I'd say about 60 to 70% of Ravens fans still believe in what Rashad Bateman can do out there on that football field because he has all the tools. What's up?
I'll go 55% believe in him. There was a lot of that discourse this year was crazy.
Oh, it was a little nasty. It got nasty at one point. You're right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Like it's a civil war on Rashad Bateman. There's like I think it was a civil war for Patrick Queen. It's a civil war for Rashad Bateman. He's the new guy that either you really, really like him or you think he's a bust. And I know that we're both on the we really, really like Rashad Bateman side.
Yeah. So let's see. Lisa Ann says here, please get Pat Ricard more involved, Todd Monken. I was thinking about Pat Ricard earlier today. And I was just thinking about how, you're going to have linebackers, right? Or like defensive ends who are seeing Pat Ricard run full speed at them to try to block them so they can't get to a Derrick Henry. You know how demoralizing that is going to be when you have to tackle this 6'3", 6'4", 250-pound man, right? Who's running full speed. But, to get to him, you have to get through a 300-pounder, right? Who's trying to stop you and put his hands on you. And like, he's a damn refrigerator in his own right. It's going to be very demoralizing as a defender this year, especially when, if Todd Monken can mix up some of these run scheme packages and whatnot, and really put guys in conflict and put them out in space and just, I don't know, man, put them in binds. It's going to be a very interesting year because we have so many options with the running game, especially. I like what you said earlier about what John Harbaugh said. Keaton Mitchell is, he's ahead of schedule. He's ahead of schedule in terms of his recovery. That's great news to hear because, the more running that we can get off of Lamar Jackson's plate, I think the better, to be honest. But
yeah,
we just need Lamar's legs when it really, really matters. And, so deep in the playoffs, that sort of thing. We need the X factor right then and there.
Because it feels like every playoff game with the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, who has, doesn't look like he's going to run, he'll break off a 15, 20-yard run.
Yeah.
And he did it in the Super Bowl. I think he did against us, got a first down. Like, he'll do it every game in the playoffs. And the thing with Lamar is, like, I want us to get to that point where you forget to have a spy out. And, there goes Lamar, 25 yards down the field, not touched. He goes out of bounds, big play. That would, that's kind of what I want because we rely on him too much in the playoffs, and he's our whole offense. Like, we've been saying this for how many years? Like, we want it to be more than him. And I think getting Derrick Henry is a huge step forward. And while we're on the topic of offense as well, I saw you quote tweeted a tweet. It was like, who's the most underappreciated player? And you said Patrick Ricard and Patrick McCarry. And I think that's a fantastic shot for either of them. I'm going to go Patrick McCarry. I think that was a fantastic choice because he can play anywhere on the line. And anytime anybody goes down the line, you throw a number 65. It's not going to be elite level play, but I promise you it's going to be pretty good damn play. So, just wanted to get that out there.
That's super valuable. That is super valuable when you kind of be a play and play anywhere on that line. Man, coaches love that sort of thing. Okay. All right, let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and transition now into talking a little bit more about our offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. So he had a presser today at the Castle where he was talking about a whole bunch of things, but most notably, this was the first time that he really broke his silence to the Ravens media about the AFC Championship game that happened last season. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring up our guy Todd Monken and see what he had to say for himself when it came to that game.
Well, the rushing attempt back, it wasn't complete. I mean, Zay Flowers had a couple and Lamar did, so I'm not trying to justify the shit. I promise that. I'm just saying in general, we needed to run the ball better. We didn't. I mean, that's a fact. We didn't. You can't control the game if you can't run the ball, and then not execute at a high level when it presents itself. And moments in the game we did, but enough. And second half needed to run the ball better, but we did give ourselves an opportunity in the second half. That's looking at it, that I don't regret, because we did give ourselves a chance in the second. We got down the red zone. We did move it. But we got to run the ball better. We got to turn the way we, plan to attack them. And I got to do a better job. That's what we're paid to do. And that is do it against the best. When it counts. That's it.
How does Derek, sorry.
Wow. Talk about speaking your mind. He's not trying to justify shit. Yeah. I'll go first. I love the way he talked. Number one, I love how he took full responsibility. And yeah, I think everybody knew we had to run the ball better. And I don't think that will happen again. But unfortunately, I don't think that was Todd's decision for us to have 6 carries. I don't. I think he's taking the blame, taking the heat, which good man. But this is a guy who went to a national championship and put up 63 points. So,
yeah, I mean, I found it interesting how he said that we have to attack them the way that we plan to attack them, because that kind of says to me that we did plan to attack them with a heavy run game, but when it didn't work a time or two, we kind of just abandoned that plan and tried to go full tilt on something else, right? And like you said, we've seen this before out of the Ravens, even without Todd Monken at offensive coordinator. So I agree with you. I think it's more of a Harbaugh thing than a Monken thing, but it is better. I do like Monken taking the blame for it. You know what I mean? That is a much better look. He makes a couple of points where he says he's not upset that he's out of the team or whatever because they pushed the ball down the field in the second, which they did, but to no avail. Obviously, it's just we didn't play our game of football that Sunday. And I think that Todd Monken knows that. He realizes that. And that's kind of what he was reiterating there. So big shout out to Todd Monken. Hopefully going into year 2 of his offense, it can be a lot smoother, right? And by the time we get to the playoffs, we're kind of a little bit more battle tested, right? With Todd Monken at the offensive coordinator. So.
And you bring up, we didn't play our brand of football. It's like in every playoff game, we don't play our brand of football. We don't play it. It feels like, and it's been going on for years upon years. And certain things stay the same and certain things change. And what I really liked about what he said was, I got to do a better job. That's the way it is. That's what I'm paid to do. And that is to do it against the best when it counts. Yeah. You've shown you can do it against the best. You've shown you could beat the best teams in college, and you showed you could beat the best teams in the NFL because you absolutely ran over the NFC champions in the Niners. You ran over the Dolphins. You ran over so many playoff teams. now against the Chiefs, we just forget about it at home. So I hope we can come back with vengeance. And you know, go through the regular season, get to the playoffs, and then go to the playoffs, and then that's when it really matters, you know, because we said it. I'll be happy, you know, winning these regular season games. And week 1, I'll probably be sitting there if we win with purple sunglasses on, a purple wig on, and a purple towel waving it. But when it comes to the playoffs, you know, that's when I really want to see it. More of the second half against the Texans, less of the first. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Let's see. We do have a super chat donation. This one's coming from the Don. Big shout out to Don C coming through, showing love, making it rain. Says, I missed PRPI's work is the reason, late hours grinding. If we get a safety, I don't want Jamal Adams. Yuck. I want Simmons, if any. Much love, guys. Much love to you, Don. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Don. Hope you're getting your rest if you're working on late hours. You deserve it. Get some sleep. I guess, we'll move on to our next topic, which is Jamal Adams visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, the Jamal Adams from the Jets, the Jamal Adams that got traded for 2 first-round picks to the Seahawks, the Jamal Adams that got moved around because he really wasn't that good in coverage, wasn't getting picks. Jamal Adams that I saw rumors that maybe he signed as a linebacker back to the Seahawks. Yes, that Jamal Adams, the same Jamal Adams who called out a journalist and said his wife was ugly, that Jamal Adams. So he visited the Baltimore Ravens. I'll start off with this. I don't hate it. I don't like it. I don't love it. I'm between like the like it and hate it, I guess. I just don't see where he would play with us. And I'm on board with you, Don. If I want anybody, it's Justin Simmons, because we can kind of run the defense we ran last year when we had Geno in. He's more of a box safety. I don't see where that, you know, that fits. We have Kyle who can do that. We have Trent Simpson who can play in the box, and we have Roquan Smith. So it feels like a luxury signing, and I'd rather put this money towards the offense, towards like a guard, than a Jamal Adams, with all due respect.
I definitely agree. I don't think that the ends would justify the means when it comes to getting a Jamal Adams on this team. For a lot of the reasons that you just said, I don't know we necessarily need like that nickel DB type player as of right now, relative to what we need on the offensive line, which is not picture perfect. And I think that what the Ravens are thinking at this point, okay, we're just going to rock out with, you know, Rosengarten and Andrew Voorhees and some of these unproven guys, and we're going to allow them to learn, right, mistake, while Lamar kind of makes up for their mistakes, you know. So let's go ahead and let's put some other capital elsewhere on the team. So maybe safety or something like that. We'll try to be the best safety unit in the league, or the best DB unit in the league. I get what the Ravens are doing, which is why I'm kind of on the same page as you here. I'm in between like it and hate it. If I had to give it like a net rating, a net score, right, I'd say I don't like it. And the main reason being is because, like, I tweeted this. I think it would be kind of like an Earl Thomas 2.0 situation. Imagine this guy getting frustrated in the locker room. You know, I don't know if he's the type of guy who's going to, not to say bend the knee, right? But I don't know if he's the type of guy who's going to buy in, you know what I mean, as easily as other guys might. This is Roquan's defense. Obviously, Zach Orr is leading the charge. Maybe, so if Zach Orr at the helm at defensive coordinator, I think things would be okay. I really do think things would be okay. But am I willing to take that risk for the price point that we would probably have to pay? I don't think so. I think I'm fine with what we have right now. So you can officially mark us down, both SimplyAS10 and Suttondef here, saying we're good if we don't get Jamal Adams off him. We want to know what you guys think. Listen, if you're part of the hashtag replay game, put it down below in the comments what you think. Do you want the Ravens to sign Jamal Adams or no? And tell us why, maybe. But let's see what we got here from the live Rain Gang. Let me see. I saw some stuff about Jamal Adams earlier in here. Oh, guys, listen, drop your questions too. Drop your questions at this point in the show. We want to answer some of your questions in the next couple of minutes here. And if you're part of the replay gang, again, drop your question down below in the comments section. Killer Cam says here, rather that money go to Dalton Reisner. Yeah, I think you brought him up a few minutes ago, Alex. I mean, yeah, I heard that's what we need. You got to eat. Again, what I always say, you got to eat your fruits and vegetables. It's not the sexy thing to do, but it's going to help you out in the long run, right? So I think that of course, Eric DeCosta knows how to run this team way better than I do, and I'm just speculating as a fan here. But I would like to see, me personally, I would like to see more security on that offense line for our MVP quarterback, especially if he's going to be going into this season without as much meat on his bones. You know what I mean? I don't want him taking extra shots that, are unnecessary because he's playing behind an inexperienced offensive line. I just don't want that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, while we're talking about safeties as well, I pulled up the free agent safeties. Jamal Adams, Kareem Jackson, Tashawn Gibson, Eddie Jackson, Quandre Diggs, Micah Hyde, Justin Simmons. I'm taking Eddie Jackson, Quandre Diggs, and Simmons before I'm even thinking about Jamal Adams. So, yeah, I don't see it at all. Don't get it.
Did you see that mic'd up video of him versus Derrick Henry, Jamal Adams versus Derrick Henry a couple years ago?
I did not know. What was it like?
Oh man, it was basically a bunch of Jamal Adams talking trash early in the game. I think he had like an early tackle on Derrick Henry, and he went to the sideline, his own sideline. He was basically walking up and down the sidelines like, "Oh yeah, where's Derrick Henry at? Tell him to keep running high. I'm gonna meet him in his chin every single time. This and that and the third." Then the rest of the video is like just him getting like blocked and washed out of the play by any and everybody, while Derrick Henry just like kind of runs right by him. So I don't know, kind of funny. He's kind of he's a talker for sure. I definitely think that if he did buy into the Ravens system, he's a hothead. If he did buy into the Ravens system, he could really be one of those play like a Raven type guys, just based off of like his own personality. But is the juice worth the squeeze when it comes to like potential drama in the locker room, drama in the media? I don't think so.
And that's where my problem comes in, because we stay away from drama on the offense. But we have a guy right here who called out a journalist, took a screenshot of this journalist's family and posted on Twitter, and we have him in for a visit. There is a double standard when it comes to offense and defense in this franchise. I love this franchise with all in me, but it feels like the defense just gets away with so much more than the offense. Earl Thomas had a history before he was here. He flipped off Pete Carroll on live television, give him 4-year, $59 million. Granted, that 1 year I thought he was very, very good, overshadowed by one bad play to Derrick Henry. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. But I'm taking Eddie Jackson, Simmons, or Diggs over Adams. But I saw him and Harbaugh, Jamal Adams, that is, they had a really good talk when Harbaugh was the coach at the Pro Bowl, and they've had a good relationship since. Yeah.
I mean,
leave it at that.
If he's one of Harbaugh's guys, then that's probably why he's getting the visit. So we'll see how that goes. I think it would probably come down to how much we would have to compensate Jamal Adams, especially if we didn't want him to be a rental. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that whole situation shakes out. Let's go ahead and get into some questions here, shall we? Let's see. K-Dog is actually, this is for Rue. She says, saw that Arsenal may sign. Is this Mark Rashford? Would you like that?
Yeah. I know, I'd love it. I would like that a lot. Actually, the Euros is on in a couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to that, because that would kind of be your sports on for the day before the finals is on at night. I think it kind of starts right around when the finals is on as well. We can talk about that while we're on the topic. Basketball, obviously. Who do you have in the finals now?
Early predictions. Now
through one game.
Early predictions. I mean, through one game, I did pick Dallas. I did pick Dallas to beat the Timberwolves. Although I want the Timberwolves to go all the way because I love Karl Anthony Towns. Big Purr all the way. That's my boy. But no, I think that Luka and the Mavericks and Kyrie went off last night. I think he had like 30. I think that they'll probably get the nod in this series, maybe about 4-2, something like that. And then in the other series, so Celtics versus Pacers, which should be coming on in a few minutes here, game 2, definitely gonna have the Celtics. The Pacers had their chance in game 1 to steal one on the road, but they choked it so hard. And I think it was mainly like a coaching blunder, to be honest with you. Rick Carlisle should have had them foul before Jaylen Brown had the opportunity to take that pointer. But they kind of squandered that one. So I have Celtics versus the Mavs in the finals. Now, winning that series, that's gonna be that's a tough one because I think they match up really well with each other. But I'm just gonna go with who I would want to win that series, and that would be Dallas. I'm not really a fan of Boston. I think Boston is kind of phony. Dallas can be phony a little bit at times too, but I just like Dallas's players a little bit more than Boston. So give me Dallas.
I like that.
So, all right. Let's see here. Let me see. KLA Sports says, ended with this, says we need to throw money at another veteran wide receiver, O-line, or better safety than Jamal Adams. What do you think about throwing money at another veteran wide receiver?
I'm on the record saying I wouldn't hate Michael Thomas for a guy to move the chains, but that's kind of the only guy left who I want. Everybody else out there, it's like, are they better than Aguilar? And I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, Aguilar stepped up big for us last year, but
he did. And not only like with like, the catches and things like that, but like just kind of like the leadership, that was important. I think that Zay Flowers, he benefited a lot from Nelson Aguilar basically telling him what to do and where to be at the very end of that Rams game where we had to come back and get the that touchdown. That deep touchdown from Lamar to Zay. I think that Nelson Aguilar was a key instrument in kind of orchestrating that happening. So he's proved to be valuable on this team. I don't necessarily I don't love the fact that he's like our legit wide receiver 3. Some might even argue wide receiver 2, since Bateman's not really, hasn't really done too much lately. But
yeah,
throwing money at another veteran wide receiver when I know we have Derrick Henry in the backfield and I know that's what we want to do this season is run the ball everywhere, I'd rather go for the O-line.
Yeah, I'm looking at this receivers that are available: Hunter Renfrow, Michael Thomas, Russell Gage, Jamal Agnew, McCole Hardman, Jakeem Grant, Randall Cobb, Marquise Goodwin, DeAndre Carter, Sterling Shepard, Richie James, Laquan Treadwell, Alex Erickson, Byron Pringle. It's not looking too good. Martavis Bryant, if you're into that. I'm not. Yeah, not many guys on there that really.
Yeah.
Like, how many of them are better than Nelson Aguilar? With all due respect.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe 2 or 3, but can they stay healthy? Probably not.
Let me see. The Don will end it with this. Actually says, "Man, I can't believe they're taking away Inside the NBA. I love that show. Someone needs to save it." Yeah, I did hear about that. I don't know why they're letting that go. I guess it probably has something to do with Charles Barkley and Shaq. If I had to guess, because I feel like Kenny and Ernie, I think that they would they want to stay. I think that the Shaq and Charles Barkley, so the two guys at the end of the table, I think that they probably have an issue with something. Probably Shaq, to be honest with you. Shaq's kind of a dickhead, but and Killer Cam says TNT is not renewing NBA's rights. Yeah, that's definitely something too. So, okay,
that's one of the few things I liked about the NBA. I'm not a huge NBA fan, but I'll be damned having that show on. That was very entertaining to watch.
It's kind of like NFL on Fox on Sunday mornings. You got like Michael Strahan, Bradshaw, all those guys.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Howie, right? Exactly. So
it's crazy because now the NFL and CBS, Phil Simms is out of there, so I think it's gonna be Nate Burleson, Coward, James Brown. I think maybe JJ Watt on there now.
Interesting.
And Boomer. Yeah, because they had JJ Watt for the Super Bowl, so maybe he takes over Phil Simms' position.
I wonder. I know Chris Sims has got to be pissed that he didn't get the nod to take the step up, take his dad's position.
him and Mike Florio will be sitting there just spewing nonsense about us. You see, I don't like this one. ESPN got rid of RG3. I thought he was a fantastic college announcer. I absolutely enjoyed him on commentary. And I'll tell you what, another guy I enjoy is Kirk Herbstreit. I didn't like him at all, but when he went to Thursday night, I'm like, this guy is actually really, really good at his job. And it's Al Michaels, who I'm not really enjoying anymore. He is so monotone. He has no just enthusiasm, feels like, for the game.
Right.
Yeah. And then one final thing, while we're on the topic. Fox having Brady now, Greg Olsen gets dropped. So Olsen is now the second, lead play commentary guy.
Took a massive pay cut too.
Yeah, and he just won an award for best color commentary as well. So I'm looking forward to see how Brady does, but I feel bad for Greg because I like Greg and Kevin together. They were fantastic.
Yeah. Well, Brady's got big shoes to fill. I mean, he's everybody's going to be listening. That first Brady cast, everyone's going to be listening to hear what insight he has, what he has to say. So the fact that we do know that he's made Greg Olsen take such a big pay cut, I think that the criticism it might be on a little bit of a short leash, to be honest with you, with the fans. If he comes down, he's not very compelling, or he just doesn't really seem like he cares about the game all that much, things like that, then fans might be on his head. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end it there for this episode 241 of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you guys so much for coming through. Everybody who's watching live, all 60 of you, 60 plus. Thank you guys so much for watching live. Make sure you like this video. Like the video on your way out. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you enjoyed the content that you just consumed. We'd appreciate that. We do go live Mondays and Thursdays at around 6:30 p.m. We have shorts dropping throughout the week. So make sure you stay tuned and locked into the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. You can make sure you follow us on Instagram down below, as you see at the bottom of the screen, at the Purple Rain Podcast. If you're watching this on X, aka Twitter, right now, go over to YouTube and search up the Purple Rain Podcast and look us up there too. And we stream every Monday and Thursday, give or take some days. If there's not too much on, or if me and Alex got something to do, we might postpone it. But yeah, that's what it is, guys. With that being said, I'll let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through to episode 241 of the Purple Rain Podcast. Like it says up there, as always, stay positive, test negative.
And never, ever, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This has been episode 241 of the Purple Rain Podcast. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.